Hi, I'm C-Tom, and in this video, I want to show you how to make a character for Cyberpunk Red. If you don't already know, Cyberpunk Red is a tabletop role-playing game set in the dark future of 2020, 2077? No, 2045. Cyberpunk Red is a tabletop role-playing game set in the dark future of 2045, where the crust punks have won and they all have guns. I'm making this video because character creation in Cyberpunk can seem really daunting, but is simple and straightforward. And a lot of the videos and other opinions I've seen seem to think it's the opposite, and even go as far as to recommend using the templated characters, which I find to be as complicated, if not more complicated, than just building a character from scratch. So in this video, I'm going to go through the 4 main steps you need to get a character up and running in the game. We're going to pick our role, we're going to pick our stats, we're going to pick our skills, and we're going to pick our gear. That's everything we need to get playing at the table in Cyberpunk. This video will be a little mechanistic, as I'm going to walk through each step and fill in the character sheet as I go on camera so that you can see how it all works. But if you can follow along until the end, you should have a good idea of how to make a character on your own. There are 3 ways to make characters in Cyberpunk Red. They're called Street Rat, Edge Runner, and Complete Package. Those names aren't particularly helpful. The short version of it is that Street Rat and Edge Runner are templated characters, kind of like pre-gens, but with a little bit more going on. Complete Package is what you want. It's the classic making a character, making all the choices, and really building from scratch. It can seem complicated at first, but it's really no more complex than building a character for any other tabletop role-playing game like Dungeons and Dragons. The entire process for making a Complete Package character is on page 42 of the rulebook if you have it, and if you don't buy it, you're gonna have a hard time about it. That's obvious. And really, if you just follow these steps, you'll have a character. But I know for some people that's a little confusing or just daunting. You see this. I'm going to walk you through these steps to make a solo. And hopefully you can follow along without issue and be comfortable making characters on your own after that. Let's go ahead and switch over to our character sheet, which we'll fill in step by step together. So I've actually already put the 4 steps that we're going to follow right here below my face. There is one step we're not going to cover here, and that's your life path. Now, rolling a life path is a really cool part of making characters in Cyberpunk, and unlike everything else I'm going to show you, it can be a little complicated, or at the very least tedious. I don't know if I'd call it complicated. It takes some time and it takes some reading to get through. I'm not going to cover that here. In fact, I think it deserves its own video. Fortunately, when you're making a character, the life path is all the background of your character. It's all fluff, and you don't need it to get started playing. All we need to do right now is pick a role, get our stats, get our skills, and get our gear, and we can get out in the world of Cyberpunk and start playing the game right away. The first thing we need to do is choose our role, which defines who our character will be in the game. Now, like I said, we're going to make a solo. We're also going to go ahead and give him a name right now. We're going to name him Snake Eyes, and we're going to fill in our role ability, which for the solo is combat awareness. We can see all this if we read about the roles in the book. We're also going to go ahead and put 4 in our role ability because everybody starts with the role ability of 4. No decision to make here. That's you get a 4. And that's step 1. Done. Easy. Now it's time to move on to stats. The rules for building our stats are on page 78 in the rulebook. The other direction, that way. Or on page 78 in the rulebook. The short version is we get 62 points. As long as all of our stats add up to 62, perfect. Hi, me from the future. I forgot to mention here, no stat can be above 8 or below 2. Back to past me. I'm going to be keeping track of my total stats right below so that you can follow along. We're going to put an 8 into reflex and cool because we want to shoot well and we want to look good while we do it. So that's 16 of our 62. Then I'm going to throw a 7 into move because I want to move fast, but you can really put this anywhere you want. Next, I'm going to throw a 6 into dexterity, technique, willpower, body, and empathy. None of these are core stats for our class, but we don't want any of them to be particularly low either, and 6 is kind of the nice even number for this system. And that'll bring us to 53 out of our 62 points. We've got 9 left, and we're going to split them up between intelligence and luck. We're going to put 5 in it, 4 in luck, and call it a day. The last thing we need to do before we move on from stats is put in our 2 derived stats. That's going to be humanity and hit points. Humanity is easy. It's just 10 times our empathy skill. That's it. So we're going to put a 60 there. Done. Hit points is complicated. It uses this formula that is 10 plus 5 times the average of your body and your will. And that's really confusing, but fortunately, there's a chart on page 90 right there. And if we look at this chart, we have 6 body, 6 will, and that means we have 40 hit points. So we're going to pop right back over and we're going to put 40 out of 40 hit points and we're done. And that's it. That's step 2. That's stats done. That's all it takes. The stats we chose here are mostly arbitrary. We made sure that our reflex and our cool were as high as they could be because they're the stats we care the most about. And then we made sure nothing else was too crazy low while spreading the rest of our points around. It's really that simple. Now, if we look back to our flow chart here, it says the rules for buying skills are on page 90. There's a whole bunch of crap on page 90, but really the only thing we need to know is that we get 86 points. No skill can be higher than 6, and we have to have at least 2 points into each of the 13 kind of core skills that every character has to have at least 2 points in. Fortunately, on our character sheet, these are bold. So the first thing we're going to do is fill in those bold skills. Most of them we are going to leave at 2, but there's a couple that we care about for this character that we're going to bump up a little bit. We're going to put a 2 in concentration, perception, athletics, education, street slang, your home, brawling, and first aid. But we're going to go ahead and make stealth a 6, evasion a 6, and we're going to bump conversation, human perception, and persuasion to 5. Before we actually put any of our skill points in, we're going to go ahead and copy all of our stats over into each of the stat blocks for every skill. We're just going to copy those straight from the stats. After we fill in all of our required stats, our character sheet is going to look like this. We add all those up and see we've spent half of our points. That's 43, leaving us with 43. With that out of the way, the first thing we're going to do is grab 6 points in shoulder arms and 6 points in handguns because we want to be able to shoot anything at anybody. That's going to knock out another 12 of our points. So we've now spent 55 out of our 86. And from here, it's just decking your character out with flavor or interesting tools that you want to use throughout the game. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab 5 points in style because I can, and it's cool, and I'm cool. Or Snake Eyes is cool. I'm probably not that cool. I'm trying. Okay? I'm trying. From there, I'm going to grab 4 points in tracking because that seems like something a solo would do, bring our total to 64. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab 4 points in electronic security and 3 points in demolitions because I like the idea that our solo can break in or break out of anywhere, whether it has a door or not. If we look at the sheet, we see both of those skills say that they are x2 skills or times 2 skills. That means that each point we put there costs 2 points from our total. So instead of this being 7 points we just spent, it's going to be 14, bringing our total to 78. And with the 8 points we have left, we're going to put 4 into basic tech and 4 into weapons tech because I feel like I should be able to take care of my shit. And that's all of them. We've spent our 86 points. We have at least 2 in every bold stat. We have nothing over 6. We're done. Now, if you want to, you can go ahead and fill out the base column in all of these skills. The base is just the level plus the stat. It's the base in the sense of it's the number that you add to the dice whenever you roll a skill. And that's that. And now we're on to the fourth and final step, gear. If we consult our flowchart one more time, you can see we have 2,550 euro bucks to spend, and it also gives us the page numbers for the things that we might want to buy, like weapons. We want weapons. It's Cyberpunk. The best place is page 94, which has a table of all the guns that we might want to buy. Now for our solo, the first things we want to buy are a handgun and a shoulder arm, because that's what we put all of our points into. So we're going to grab a heavy pistol because it's the best pistol, trust me, and we're going to grab a sniper rifle. Now you might want an assault rifle for your solo, but I have this idea that Snake Eyes is kind of this like sneaky sniper guy, and so I'm getting him a sniper rifle. We go ahead and write that down on our character sheet, and the next thing we need is armor. Arguably more important than the guns, but either way, we're getting both. So those weapons are going to run us 100 for the handgun and 500 for the sniper rifle. So that's 600 of our 2550 gone. We're going to go ahead and pick up 25 rounds of basic ammo for each of these guns, bringing the total cost to 650. So we've now spent 650 of our 2550 that we start with. After we buy our guns, we buy our armor. This one's easy. Almost every character wants light armor jack for their head and for their body. Light armor jack is just the best armor that you can buy from the book that doesn't have any penalty to your reflex or move or whatever. And it's relatively affordable at 100 each. So we're going to go ahead and pick up our 2 light armor jacks. That's another 200, bringing us to 850 out of our 2550. After this, you should buy some food and other goodies for your character, but we're going to go ahead and save what we have right now and jump straight to cyberware. So that he can live up to his name, we're going to go ahead and give Snake Eyes a cyber eye in both eyes. That's going to run us 100 per eye, bringing our total spent to 1050. I don't have a slide prepared for this, but we're just going to write that down on the 3rd page of our character sheet, which is a very self-explanatory diagram for where to write down all our cyberware. So go ahead and check the box for cyber eye on both of Snake Eyes' eyes. On both of Snake Eyes' eyes. Yeah, that's right. All right, we've got 1500 eddies and 2 cyber eyes. Now it's time to put infrared vision into those cyber eyes. By the way, if you've been following along in the flowchart, you'll see that all of this cyberware starts on page 110 of the rulebook, and we've flipped down to cyber eyes at the bottom of page 112 and the top of page 113. Because the next thing we're going to give Snake Eyes is infrared vision. Now, infrared vision says it must be paired, which means we have to have 2 cyber eyes, and we have to buy it for each cyber eye. Don't forget to subtract all the humanity loss for your cyberware. I haven't marked it here on the sheet, but each cyber eye costs us 7 humanity and each infrared implant costs us 3. That's a total of 20 humanity loss that we have to pay to get those upgrades. That's going to bring our humanity down to a 40 out of 60 on our character sheet, which also brings our empathy down to a 4 out of 6. There are a bunch of rules for humanity loss, getting it back through therapy, and what happens if you lose all of it. We don't need to cover that right now. You're not going to be able to buy enough cyberware to hurt yourself at the beginning of the game. So we're going to spend 500 bucks per eye to get our infrared vision. That's going to run us another 1,000, bringing us to 2050 out of 2550 spent. We got 500 left, and like I said, blow it on food, technology, get an agent. It's like your smartphone for the world. You're going to want it. Get a bag to put all your shit in. Don't bother spending it on fashion because you get an additional 800 euro bucks outside of your normal budget for buying fashion stuff. So go ahead, get that bag lady chic, that sweet leisure suit, and those mirror shades, whatever you want. 800 bucks, make your character look rad as fuck. Make your character look cyberpunk. So that's everything you need to get started. That's a complete package character from the ground up. All the stats, the skills, the gear, and everything you need to be in the game, playing the game, having fun, and being fucking cyberpunk, I guess. That's it for this video. Now you've seen the tool set for creating your own characters for Cyberpunk Red. Watch out for an upcoming life path video where I'll do the same process rolling Snake Eye's life path, which will flesh out his background and events that happened to him before we started playing him as a character. It's really a fun process in creating a character for Cyberpunk, but like I said, it can be a little tedious, and I've decided to make it its own video. Also, I have more tabletop videos in the pipeline, some about sci-fi and some about role-playing in general, so keep an eye out for those. Until then, thanks for watching.